Welcome everyone back to Curiosities. I'm joined by my good friend Mike MacDonald. Mike, I just want to know one thing, Mike. Do you own a farm with chickens and cows? Oh, MacDonald. E-I-E-I-O. Boy, I bet you never heard that one before, huh? All right. In all seriousness, Mike. I know you don't own a farm. At least not yet. When maybe we're a little older. Joe Biden is out picketing with auto workers who are on strike, Mike. We're going to talk about this today. We're looking at an article from the AP. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we do, Mike, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but our subscribers are starting to grow. Our channel is growing.
Yes.
We might actually break over 2,000. Hopefully soon.
Yes.
There's some people out there that really like what we're talking about, evidently.
Apparently.
So that's a good thing.
I'd say so.
I would say so. So if you're one of them, if you want to see us grow and I really want to do more episodes with Mike. Mike and I have a good time doing this stuff. We know each other for many years. Speaking of starting somewhere, Mike, the auto workers in Detroit and other parts of the country are on strike. What are they demanding, Mike?
Well, according to the AP.
Well, what did Biden say?
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put excuse me.
Which time?
What does the president say about this when he was out there picketing?
Well, he shows up at the picket line. Okay. And then he goes into some
rambling
wild recollection of him going beyond the picket lines.
I remember when I went to prison.
I remember when I was in the picket lines in 1973. At the same time, I was at the ground zero with September 12th, and I was at the we're going to.
I was in prison with Nelson Mandela.
Oh my God, bro!
And don't forget the ice cream. Don't forget. Guy's always mumbling stuff.
Man. So good.
How did we end up here with this guy? But anyway, I digress. So the AP's headline reads, Mike, Biden urges striking auto workers to stick with it in picket line visit unparalleled in history. I don't know about that one. Is this unparalleled in history? Is this the biggest auto worker strike ever?
Somehow I don't think so.
But you know what? With President Biden, everything's hyperbole, right?
Of course.
Even the stuff that makes no sense.
Here's the thing, okay? The Biden administration, with this massive push to phase out ICE vehicles, okay, is literally handing the auto industries in these tens of thousands of workers, they're handing over their jobs to the Chinese manufacturing. Okay.
Yeah.
It takes far fewer workers to build an EV, and the lion's share of these parts that make it an EV are built in China. So if you look at the map of where from the materials to the assembly to shipping and all the other things, it goes around the world like a few times to go to all the places, right? When you get the lithium, when you get the gold, when you get the platinum, when you get all the things that are necessary to build an electric vehicle, by the time it gets to the consumer, it has used so much diesel fuel to go around the world over and over again that, I mean, let's ignore the fact that in my observation, okay, EVs are very susceptible to temperature. You have to have a very specific type of tire so you maximize fuel efficiency, but at the sacrifice of traction. So heaven forbid it rains, heaven forbid it snows. Well, you can get snow tires, sure, but you're also going to create a significant drop in your range when you have higher grip tires and also colder temperatures. Okay, right. And heaven forbid you drive through really heavy rains, because then that water is going to infiltrate into your battery pack and ruin the car. Where the people that have been building engines for 25, 35 years, what are they going to do? Learn to code? right?
We've done this conversation before, Mike.
Engines, transmissions, drivetrains.
Well, all those aren't those motors? Aren't they electric motors? I mean, don't they have electric
Yeah,
transmissions?
but they're not being built here. They're not being built by Americans.
Where are they being built?
They're being built in China.
In China.
These drive lines, these drive systems, the electric motors and stuff. Yeah, they're designed here in the U.S., but they're not being manufactured here, because if we manufacture them here at the current time frame, a Tesla would be probably 2-3 times more expensive.
So you're saying that China has a big dog in this race?
A huge dog in the race.
Oh my God. That explains a lot. Let's continue. The front runner for the Republican nomination in next year's election. No deal, no wheels, workers chanted as Biden arrived at a General Motors parts distribution warehouse, one of several facilities that has been targeted in a widening strike now in its 12th day. No pay, no parts. So they're taking a hard stance here, Mike. They're taking a hard stance here. But if the
union workers, they see the writing on the wall.
If the auto industry is already moving this direction, and and the auto workers are saying, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm going to strike," and they're like, "Okay, well, we're going that direction anyway. So if you guys want to strike, I don't see the advantage here, Mike."
You don't see the advantage?
No.
I hate to say it, but I think they're kind of fighting a losing battle.
That's what I mean.
Because there's no indication that this Green New Deal, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is just a renamed version of the Green New Deal, that they're gonna back off on this push for EV.
But here's the thing, Mike. Here's what I don't understand. If Biden is pushing the Green New Deal and he's pushing electric vehicles, isn't he part of the reason that they're having these issues in the first place?
Yes.
How could this guy show up? How does this guy have any face to show up to a union strike and auto workers when he's part of the reason that they're losing their jobs?
Because
that's hilarious to me. I mean, it's really, really bad.
A union auto worker, good people, good men, good women, working really, really hard, because hey, working on assembly line, that's not an easy gig, right?
No, right.
And they want to keep their jobs because they like doing it. It's a good job. They get to, they get to stay ahead of all the technology. They get to see, they get to see people, moving around and having that freedom of transportation, and so I think union has. Well,
it's the same difference with teachers unions, because that cost goes into the cost of educating a child. Now you could have there are arguments on, and I get it, because I know that those test scores look pretty abysmal, and people have every right to criticize the school systems, and by extension teachers unions, because but see, not everybody has a teachers union. I have friends and colleagues that work in different states where they don't have teachers unions,
right?
And it's basically a free for all in terms of, like, you got to work. As a teacher, you get hired by an individual school, you get hired by an individual principal, but you could also get fired by that individual principal.
Well, so and the running theory is it's very hard to get fired in certain school, certain school districts.
You can't. It's very difficult to get fired when you're in the school district. At least where I'm at, it's difficult to fire a teacher, because we have a lot of protections. Contractual protections, and that's the good side. That's the good thing about it.
I think those protections are hard fought, but have we gotten to the point now where those protections are protecting teachers that really aren't performing how one would expect?
Well, see, now that we're morphing this conversation to something else. Now, as a teacher who's currently in a school district that has been under a lot of scrutiny, and not just locally but nationwide, I can tell you that the issue isn't necessarily the teachers in those regards, because the districts where these teachers work are being told, the teachers are being told by their higher ups that these are the policies we're going to do. This is the methods we're going to employ. This is how you're going to run your class, essentially down to the curriculum,
right?
Down to the day, down to the time within a class period. Right. They have micromanaged teachers. They are micromanaging teachers to the minute, And so if the school systems are failing, you need to not just point at the teachers. You need to look at those districts that are telling us. They're basically like puppeteers, and
Right.
they're telling the teachers what to do.
I can totally see that.
And it's becoming more and more intrusive, more and more invasive, because the policies keep creeping in, and they're become even more. The more sticklers you hire in management in schools, the more they micromanage, because they're anals, they're anal retentives, and they're OCDs, and they want to know everything and put everything inside of a column and inside of a box, and it makes everybody crazy. And it's hard to teach like that. There's no autonomy.
Right, but this goes back to the same thing in that a lot of leftist policies, in my view, is they think, well, if it works this one time here, then we can make the one size fits all, make it work everywhere. But I'm sorry, students are a bunch of individuals, just like these UAW workers are individuals. Sure. They're demanding a 40% increase in their wages, right? Which is going to make, the average, $40 an hour versus 29?
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of coming back to that, a 40% increase in pay is huge. What's that gonna do to the price of cars? Have you seen the price of a new vehicle lately?
New Kingdom Radio Theater.